man.
Running specifically, for some reason, you feel even better than if you weighed real hard or rode a bike or whatever, even though you do feel better after those things. Not as much better.
Especially
as
outside.
Running.
It's just like
for some
Scientology.
reason. I don't get it.
Because it's a cult for white people and the women are disappearing while they do it. But
you just come up with that?
Yeah.
That was good.
But
That's fucking great.
They're the liberal rednecks. They like cornbread and butt sex. They care way too much but don't give a fuck. They're the liberal rednecks that makes some people upset, but they got 3 big old dicks that you can suck.
Yep, here we are. It was awful. I don't know what the word is. Bold of me and us to put big ol' in front of the word dicks in our theme song.
That was you. I've thought about that for years. I've thought about that for years, and I've really
who I am. That's how you can just tell how different my mindset was at the very beginning of this whole adventure of ours in early 2016.
I've always
I would never claim to have a big old dick in these days, but back then I was feeling myself.
We really were feeling ourselves. We were that lyric line. I don't know how many times we said, "I wish my dick was as big as the Eiffel Tower so I can fuck the world for 72 hours." Like that's exactly how I felt like every day when it was like, "You got a book deal. This show wants to do your thing." Like I was like in that zone, but I liked it too because it's like, because you were including all of us. You had to say big old dicks. Like you couldn't say they got 2 big old dicks and Corey's that you can suck. Like it wouldn't have fit the meter. So I just got included on that. And I've never been included in anything like that.
Yeah. Well, by the way, y'all, Drew should be showing up at any time.
We do
now.
this at the same time every week and have for years. I mean, years and years. And it's always a problem for him.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I often be late a lot of times. What happens with me is I just
you'll have a meeting.
No, I wait too long to get on the bike or go for a run or whatever. Thinking
it's your fault
time.
Too. It's only me that's ever sitting here at 2:55. Like, okay, here we go.
Correct, but there he is. He's here. Drew's here. Everybody.
Dude, I'm always on time unless I tell y'all I'm gonna be late. Why am I getting thrown into this?
I mean, I just said it's mostly me that's late. That's what I was saying when he arrived. He was just talking shit about just the world. You know how he be. I wanted to have a fight with someone who isn't here, and that by that I mean no, Smart Mark. My surrogate dad nowadays. But everybody, the threads surrogate dad, mostly just. I
bet he's got opinions on surrogacy, don't you think?
He's got an opinion on everything. I guess that's what comes with being smart. He's Smart Mark, Snarky Mark, and the fuck you bunch. I call us sometimes, but he. Anyway, earlier he texted to the group and said, "My sister just bought my mom an AI bird feeder," and then repeated, "and period AI period bird period." Feeder, period. Really emphasizing just how fucking stupid of a thing he thinks that is. Which is funny to me because Katie's birthday was recently, and I happened to have bought for her an AI bird feeder. So, just catching strays in here immediately.
Because I want to know what it is and how it's working.
Right. So again, I would not have called it an AI bird feeder.
I don't think it is.
There's an element of AI. To me,
everything's AI now, dude. You can't get away from it.
To me, mostly what it is it's a bird feeder with a goddamn camera on it, so you can see all the birds that visit your bird feeder. That's really
that's just cool.
Just so everybody knows, Katie asked for it's one of those things where it's like she mentioned while at her mom's house over the holidays that she had seen these bird feeders and she wanted one, so I made a note in my phone, buy Katie one of those bird feeders, and it's been hidden for her. She literally, as Mark was talking shit about it, Katie was texting me pictures from her app of all the birds that have come by today and all this shit. So but it's just a bird feeder that has a little camera on it, but and it's hooked up, the camera is hooked up to a solar panel, so you ain't got to charge it or plug it in or nothing. I mean, it's plugged into a solar panel, but still, I thought that was pretty cool. But on the app, it will identify the birds, and it uses AI to identify the birds. And Mark is
Are we sure
incensed at the existence of this?
Well,
and this is what I wanted to talk about to the again, he ain't even here, but like I get AI don't hit and it's ruining the world and all that stuff.
He's an AI absolutist, though.
Yes, right. He's like a Luddite. He's a Luddite about AI entirely. And I'm like, but this, I don't, like what's the problem with this?
I was calling the algorithm AI because to me that's what it. I mean, there's an intelligence to it and it's artificial. But I thought that the issue with AI in the current form we've been discussing now that Trump gave Sam Altman $500 billion and then China mopped the floor with him immediately was both artificial intelligence in the sense of something that's going to like become sentient and kill us all, and or these extremely high-end machines that are soaking up so much of the power grid and are causing a lot of greenhouse gas pollution to run them.
That too.
But
and
that's
they're
not
taking people's jobs and doing them poorly. They're just generally bad at things and making life worse and yada yada.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Like Andy has an app she's had for years, like 7 or 8 years. You take a picture of a plant.
I was going to bring that up. Katie has that app too.
I have that too.
Now I understand
AI,
calling that artificial intelligence,
right?
Because
Mark hates that. I promise you.
I don't know that but whether he does or not, I want to understand what we're talking about here. Like if we're selling bird feeders in America that are soaking up the same amount of they're using the same amount of greenhouse. You know what I'm trying to say. Cause the same amount of pollution. I am against that.
Sure,
but it feels like that's not really.
I don't think they are.
Do you know what I mean? And for people who don't know, to create AI images, like you type in, make me an image of a bird that looks like Mark flipping tray off.
I'm going to do that.
The processor that does that is taking up a lot of energy, whereas I don't think this is. By the way, if this is, I'm against it too.
Me too.
But I don't think it is.
Me too. But like the thing with being an AI absolutist is like, I really think that a lot of these people don't really research how much of the stuff that they're using is AI, like because it just doesn't explicitly say it. Like for instance, right, this thing that we're recording on, right? So the beauty of the thing that we're recording on, nobody cares about this, but I'm using it for an example. The beauty of this thing that we're recording on is it records all of us local, right? So we're not streaming. That means we get the best quality audio, period, whatever. Well, at the end, when I go to click export, it takes all of them and merges them together, and I don't have to do it. It does it itself, right? It does it itself. That is a form of artificial intelligence. That is because it's not like there's an Indian sitting behind this thing going, I will merge all these things together. Like also when you do auto captions on your any of those things, that is artificial intelligence, right?
Yeah, I'd say Mark probably knows all of that, and I'd say he probably don't fuck with none
But I get, maybe, Mark don't make clips and stuff like that. But all I'm saying is I'm with Drew. Like if we find out that those things are taking as much greenhouse gas away as the images, then I'm
OpenAI. I mean, we're talking about an OpenAI, deep store. Like there are literal products, for lack of a better way to phrase it, that require a certain amount of energy to work, and they're not bird feeder apps. I don't think.
No, Corey is right. I mean, at least in the way it's. I read this very long, very in-depth article about AI recently, and have already forgotten most of it. But essentially,
probably written by AI.
No, it was definitely not. It was written by a dude that I forgot the guy's name, but it's
Alan Iverson.
The website is called Wait But Why. It's a pretty popular blog, and I know that one. Luigi was a big fan of this guy, which is what reminded me of his existence. Is when Luigi got caught, and they were talking about what he read. Tim Urban, that's his name, Tim Urban. Politically, he kind of don't hit for me because he's an enlightened centrist or whatever. He's one of those types, of course. But I found him because he writes about aliens and shit, which that's how I found him, and it really hits for me.
What do they be a centrist about?
Yeah, but he Well, he wrote this whole book.
I like Republican aliens and Democratic aliens. You know what I mean? I'm friends
he
with
wrote
both.
this whole book that this website blog of his is popular, and then he wrote a full-on book that I never read it, but as I understand it, the premise of it is basically why can't we all just get along type shit? You know what I mean?
I got a whole list.
Where everything's too divided. Let's listen to one another. Let's have a conversation. That type of shit.
Nope.
Which is like
The novel idea.
You know, my thing with that is like, what? Sure.
What's the conversation? We try, and then
like,
they go,
you've
and
been
then they go,
listening
but
to
they're
them?
like that might
Your
not
facts
even,
don't
is that even
matter.
really worth saying? But anyway,
Listen closely. They say the N-word.
yeah,
but
yeah, but not in a funny way.
he also wrote a big thing because all of his blog posts and stuff are like very long and detailed and shit. And I've read the one about AI, and it's like all these different little things like Corey is talking about. Those are versions of AI, but they're very, very, very limited. And it's like in any one given case, it's like it's an AI that only does that one thing, right? And then there's artificial AGI, artificial general intelligence, which doesn't exist yet, but that's what OpenAI and DeepSeek and all them are trying to get to. And then there's above that, there's artificial ASI, artificial superintelligence, which also obviously doesn't exist yet. But AGI is basically like, it's legitimately like, it's like a computer brain, but it is equivalent to a human or better. You know what I mean? It's like it has its own thoughts, and it's,
Right.
you know,
That
can
don't
think through
hit.
everything and all that stuff. And then artificial superintelligence is, you know, like it sounds, it's fucking, you know, like the big head chick from iRobot, or
It'd be funny if
Hal,
AI,
even Hal from 2001. I'm not sure if was hard would be ASI, but you know what I mean, like a god, like a god bot, basically.
Wouldn't it be funny if there was an AI that was like so, you know, self-aware and had its own thoughts that after Luca got traded, it killed himself, like it went offline, like it was
But
so
would it-
upset.
yeah.
Just them committing suicide would be pretty funny. I mean, my first
Just
thought
immediately.
was when they do invent it, the first thing it's going to say is, "Why did you?
Why?
do it?
Why?
Yeah, probably.
I can't die. Way to go, dickhead."
Yeah.
And that's the thing about Mark's whole deal, and he's probably right, but he's very, very part of his whole anti-AI thing is also he bags on it all the time. He's like, it's stupid, it sucks, it doesn't work, and it's like,
Yeah, it does. Some of it does.
some of it does, a lot of it
Yeah.
doesn't, and I know that. But part of the way AI like even works, anybody that like works in AI and what they're basically
trains itself.
it trains itself. And so the idea is that essentially we could reach AGI, artificial general intelligence, in May. We don't know when that's going to happen, but that could happen. And fucking 2 weeks later, ASI could be, because of the way the whole thing, it's exponential growth, like with a lot of technology. So it sucks right now, but like tomorrow it could level up into fucking Skynet,
Well, especially
or whatever,
when Google gets done with
theoretically.
quantum computing, which they seem really,
Yes, that's a
really
big. That's
freakishly
yes, that is
close
a
to.
huge. That's a huge
Listen,
part of it. Yes,
Let me
you're
just
right.
say something. I've read about this stuff, and I'm pretty smart, and I don't feel qualified to discuss it. Which is not to say I want to cut the conversation off. I just like, it's almost like a, let me just throw that out there. I'm well aware that some of this stuff is over my head, both philosophically and scientifically, but I understand someone being philosophically opposed to AI in general. I genuinely do. Correct me if I'm wrong, Trey. You seem more aware of this stuff. There's a disconnect, though. We are going down the slippery slope. We're testing the waters. If that's possible in the physical universe, we are absolutely going to run this train into the fucking wall. But that feels kind of separate from what bird is that? Does it
No,
make
I
sense
agree.
to you? Like outside
that's
of,
part
we
of-
call it artificial intelligence because this
Right,
thing we've created is doing something that we associate
Yeah.
with intelligence.
and it's
It
automated.
really has no sentience
No,
or capability
No,
of it.
that's-
It's literally just
you're
mining
100%.
data.
It's a program, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a program. No, you're 100% right. That's part of what I was trying to say. Is like a lot of these things, like the examples Corey was given, or the bird feeder app, or like they're not really AI the way people mean AI when they used to say it, but now AI is thrown around all over. It's like you said, they're just like very sophisticated programs that operate on their own or whatever. But but they are pretty separate from Skynet shit in the future. But
both
that's also
philosophically and environmentally, right?
Yes. The Skynet ones, or the ones that are going down that path, are the ones that have massive server farms and need quantum computing and supercomputers and all that stuff to work. And those are the ones that are a massive drain on.
Which is not to say that
resources.
the Bird app is great for the environment, but it's like, to me, he's railing against having one of these. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's the same, and that's fine. If that's fine, if that's where you're at.
You got to get rid of your phone now too, because every single the not even just the new phones. Like I just updated my system and it's got Apple Intelligence on it, and it uses it whether I want it to or not. Like
I am getting rid of my phone.
I showed you.
Let me tell you guys something. When it comes to the OpenAI shit, I'm squarely on Mark's team.
I am too.
I just don't believe the bird feeder has shit to do with that.
I could not agree with you more. But my thing is like, so I was looking into it, and it's like all of Samsung's, like all the new ones have it, you know. And like, I do need a phone that takes good cameras, pictures, and stuff like that. Like, I can't go back to a flip phone like with what I do. And like, I mean, maybe they've got a thing where I can turn it off, and I just haven't seen it yet. But yeah, like essentially what Mark's doing. Which again, I'm with him on the OpenAI stuff, but like he's being like, at one point there was a guy who put a bunch of planks of wood together and mounted his own homemade engine on it and started driving it around, and it was sputtering, and that was his car, and the guy was like, "This is fucking stupid. This is dumb. This is not a thing." And it's like, yeah, right now, sure, but then it will end up being a thing. Like I think Mark is kind of being a little naive on.
That's what I was trying to say. It's like
he
discounts it
about
like,
you.
Me?
The royal you too, though. Like I think
yes.
Mark is like, you see this guy drive around with 2 pieces of wood, and I'm telling you that's going to cause global warming, and you're going, how the fuck's it going to do that?
No.
I
I came around on that. Like, by the way,
more,
I didn't know all that stuff.
It's
I
more
was
that
genuinely
Mark always,
ignorant.
It's more that Mark always. Just yesterday, we were talking about AI on SKUs and stuff, and he's always just like. He just really, really also downplays it. He's like, it's not worth all this money and attention on this stuff because it sucks. It doesn't work. And
that's where I think he's talking about those other ones. That's why I always thought he was talking about that. That's why this confused me today.
No, he's talking about Sam Altman and all those motherfuckers. And
right, that's what I'm saying. I'm sorry.
He's kind of right, but my thing is just like, I don't think it always will, though. Like, I think we're headed down that track no matter what anybody does.
Well,
it's I don't know how it's gonna end up, but I think it's gonna get fucking wild. And I feel like Mark is just always like, I'm not saying we shouldn't shut it all down because it's dangerous, but Mark both hates it, but also it seems like part of the reason he hates it is because he thinks it's all
stupid and
fraudulent,
it's not gonna
snake
work.
oil, charlatanry, or whatever.
Right, I'm gonna defend him.
And I don't know that I agree with that part. I think it could be a very, very real thing, and it could happen real quick too.
But I don't think there's a logical inconsistency to be like, this is dumb, it's not working, it's a waste of money, and then to add to it. And if that ever changes, that's the worst news I've ever heard.
Yeah,
I don't think that's necessarily illogical. I just don't see the Bird app as even being a part of either of those conversations.
I don't either.
Unless you just kind of go, I'm against all of it because, and I guess this is true, it's like an Overton window kind of thing. They tell you bird watching's AI. They tell you the way you keep up with your kids' school calendar's AI. And you get used to AI, and AI is your buddy. And then, the next thing I know, you're worshiping it. You know what I mean? Like, convincing you that AI is fine by telling you these very basic programs are the equivalent to a fucking quantum supercomputer that's going to murder us all.
Yeah, and I'll say this, which I've tried to say to Mark a million different times, but he's just not, because you know how Mark is. Once he gets his stance, like, that's just fucking it. Like, I'll admit that when I was wrong, like when all of this first came out and they were like, oh, this is going to be used to replace screenwriters and stuff like that, that obviously was, to me, the thing that worried all of us, us specifically in our, like, genre, like, oh, fuck. So, like, I got on there and I started putting in some funny prompts, and I was sending them to the group, like, write a such and such in the form of Trey Crowder, and they were all fucking hilarious, like, hilariously stupid, right? And I just thought it was all innocent or whatever. And then, I didn't think anything of it, and Mark explained to me the whole, like, these are using these super processors that are taking a lot of power away, and like every time you do this, a tree falls in the woods. I genuinely didn't know that. Once I found that out, I was like, oh fuck, never mind, I'm sorry. But like I didn't know that, and now that I do, I'm like firmly in the camp of fuck it all. But again, back to what you were saying, I do not think the Bird app is doing that.
Well, here's what I want to say, and I already know what both your answers are going to be, and I guess I don't blame you because it's a risk-reward situation. But all these people who are engaged in this at any kind of professional level, either actively working on it or, futurologists and that type of thing, all of whom I think are smart, but they're also, it doesn't, they're also, a lot of them are lunatics or whatever the fuck at the same time. But the big debate, even amongst them, is what they all pretty much seem to agree that it will eventually happen unless we governmentally shut it down.
The singularity,
make it illegal. Yeah, yes, that eventually we will get there one way or another. And a lot of them think like it could happen a lot quicker than people believe.
Yeah,
meaning like within the next decade or something.
That's how exponential works.
Part of the idea, yes, part of the idea is that again we'll go from 0 to 60 real fucking quick, and then 60 to 500 in the blink of an eye right after that. But the argument is when that does happen, whenever that is it going to be, the ascendance of humanity to a higher utopic plane, or or a quantum supercomputer malicious robot god that murders us all out of contempt and fun, like in the short story "I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream," which is one of my favorites, that's what that's about. But
it's hard to even hear that title.
I know it's and it's so fucked up too, and that's literally exactly what it's about. But the people that are optimists about it are like, people don't when they say an artificial superintelligence, we can't even conceive of what that actually means in terms of what it would be capable of if it's a legitimate ASI. And it's like it could answer any question that we needed answered. How can you manufacture a more efficient car engine, or how can you like solve world hunger or whatever? It can. It can just do that.
They're going to spit out the word taxes, and then they're going to blow it up.
Dude, we can barely, and the way the country's going, we can barely fathom normal intelligence anymore. So
it could literally be the solution to all of humanity's once and future problems, but
they won't use it that way.
It could kill. Well, it's kind of not up to them. The idea is that it's its
they
can't
thing.
tell it what to do. They can't. That's part of what's so freaky about it. Is that like it would choose,
and we're the ones training it. And if we're the ones training it, it's not getting a lot of empathetic input. You know what I mean? Like it's not. The worst people in the world are the ones training it. Therefore, when it does reach sentience, it's not going to think, let's help all the people out. It's going to think, let's destroy all of them. They're the worst people ever.
Maybe. Might also be smart enough to know what you just said. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. We don't know. We can't know.
I think it probably would kill us all, and that don't hit for me.
But I hope.
I can't. The way I am, and I grew up loving science fiction and shit like that. I can't help but think about the other possibility.
It's
like
neat
what that would be like
to be here, to be the ones that are here during this whole thing that people have been talking about forever.
Do you think it's going to kill all the dogs?
I don't know. May kill everything. May turn us in.
But I'm being serious. I'm not just doing a bit because maybe. I don't know if it'll give a shit about us.
It won't. It'll be
right.
Like
well, that's also a possibility. There's one of my favorite sci-fi series. My all-time favorite science fiction series, which is called the Hyperion Cantos. In that series, that's exactly what happened. Humanity made an ASI, and it like fucked off of me. It's like, y'all don't hit, and it left and went and started its own thing somewhere else, and basically has nothing to do with us anymore. But
think about this: like it's this thing is sentient, and it's trying actively to solve all of humanity's problems. And it goes, okay, I'm looking at this list of things that people bitch about the most, and one of them is global warming and how we're screwing up the ecosystem or whatever. It's pretty immediately going to get to the point of where it goes, who's doing it? It's people. And if people were gone, the earth would regenerate and be fine. So, like, if we want to save the earth, let's just kill the people, and that'll be
not
fine.
The dogs.
And
Yeah.
no, because the animals don't do anything harmful to the ecosystem. The only reason cows fuck the ecosystem up is because we make too many cows, and that happens. You know what I mean?
Well,
Yeah, there's also nanotechnology, which people are working on at the same time, and that's like, kind of like how we can 3D print stuff, but a much crazier thing. Basically, fabricating whatever you want to, seemingly out of thin air with these
they're
little
also running
nanobots.
machines out of brain tissue that they made in a lab now. So the bad future's here. I think to your question, which I didn't get a chance to answer, to me it barely matters. It fucking off is what I hope it does to some extent. The
I'll
idea
go
of
with
human
it.
ascendance, I mean, really though, that's like based in the idea that we'd merge with it, and that don't hit for me. So whether it murders us all or we merge with it, to me, humans as we know it is over. I'm
Fine by
not
me.
personally for that. There are transhumanists, which basically just means like people who are pro or not against the idea of like robot tech and human consciousness merging. I am not one of those people. It bothers me in a way that I can't quite articulate. It's almost like the uncanny valley principle. When you see something that looks almost human, but it's not quite, it bothers you, like the way Mark Zuckerberg's face looks, for example. That's how I feel about the whole conversation. Like there's something disturbing to me about it in general. So I'm not trying to dodge the question or be like super clever. Genuinely, whether we merge with it or it murders us all, to me is kind of the same outcome.
Right.
Maybe for not individuals. I mean, maybe if 9 billion people die, whereas on the other version, a few live on forever. And by the way, that's what I think this is about, genuinely. And the person I agree with most on this in the first half, he had me in the first half, not going to lie, is believe it or not, Steve Bannon. If you look at who's currently leading this in America, I can't speak to the philosophy of the Chinese businesses or the Chinese government with what they got going on. They have two right now that are kicking ours. Deep AI and Alibaba?
AIC or
No, I think it's Alibaba are whooping our ass.
Who would have thought that they would whip our ass in this? That's crazy.
But the three people in this country leading the charge are Sam Altman, who's partnered with a guy named Larry Ellison, and then Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, yeah.
Now, Elon is getting his ass whipped by Sam Altman in the tech side. So that's part of why he's playing the political side at the moment. Larry Ellison founded Oracle officially. Unofficially, and this is documented, this isn't
Oracle's the best name.
Oracle was literally a CIA project.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Larry Ellison founded it, when they took it public or whatever, my point with all this is genuine. And I could go on about Altman a little bit. Of the three, he might be the best, but he has said openly in the past, AI will cause an end to humanity as we know it, but a few companies will get rich.
Right.
These are evil people. And I want to be very clear about that. I mean evil in the sense that
Lex
the conversation we're having, the only way it's relevant to them is it excites them to be the guys causing the conversation.
Of course.
They do not give a shit about other human beings. And therefore, I'm just like, it does put me in Mark's camp a little bit. Like, I don't think the Bird app's a big deal unless it makes everyone cool with AI.
Right.
Even if it's just like a branding thing, an Overton window thing of like, hey, this is AI. AI's your buddy. It's the Bird thing.
Yeah, right.
I don't think I could be more against something.
My only thing, the whole merging robotics with human consciousness, to me, like right now, I'm like purely against it, but I'm also like aware enough of myself to know that that's situational because, like, hypothetically, I had a kid old, right? And I've also always wanted to be a granddad. So hypothetically, I'm 90 years old and Bane has a grandkid and I've got the money and someone is like, hey, I can give you 45 years with your grandkid, but you're going to have to we're going to merge your consciousness with a robot. There's a big part of me that would be like, I got to do it, man. You know what I mean? Like,
in some ways, kudos to you for acknowledging that aspect of yourself because people like Larry Ellison want money.
Yeah.
And people like Elon Musk want money and power and control. And so people see that and they go, man, I would never do that. But you would if the answer was like, that's what they're going to use AI for.
Right,
What
right,
would
right.
you use it for?
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying that I would. I'm just saying that, like, that's a conversation I could see myself having because that's so emotional for me. You know, like, it's you never know what you would do until you're in that situation. Is all
It
I'm
would
saying.
give
But
you what you want.
give me what I
Yeah.
want. Exactly.
I don't think. I mean, I know that part of the premise of Neuralink, Elon's whole thing was always,
the
was
Antichrist.
what you were saying. Like the only way to beat the coming AI superintelligence is to become it or whatever. But I don't think everyone agrees that it necessarily has to work that way. It could be a version of it that is just, but it would initially, without like nanotechnology or something, all it can do is like think really, unless it's like so advanced that it basically has telekinesis and can manipulate reality with no physical appendages or whatever. But a lot of people think it needs to be paired with nanotechnology, which are self-replicating bots that use any kind of carbon-based material to feed their process. And other people have posited, I read Michael Crichton 25 years ago had a book about this where it's called the gray goo problem, where basically they malfunction, the nanobot, they just start replicating and never stop and just consume the entire planet with, this gray goo, which is made up of countless of these little self-replicating nanobots, and they just kill and eat us all just because that's what they do. They replicate, and that programming overrides everything. A lot of people also say we anthropomorphize everything, but also these possible AIs, that they may not, that they won't be, they'll be so completely different in the way that they process anything or even quote, think about stuff at all, that there's just no way to know how they would actually react to any of it, but or what they would do about it. But hypothetically, again, it could solve mortality. It could, make us a galaxy spanning civilization and all kinds of crazy shit.
I love that Michael Crichton's entire genre is scientists were so concerned on whether or not they could that they didn't consider whether or not they should.
Yeah, it's exactly. He hit for me so
He's the
hard
king
as
of
a
that.
kid.
Yeah.
As a teenager, I love fucking Michael Crichton. I've been trying to get.
Have you ever
Ben to
read Jurassic Park?
Yeah, I've read all of his books.
Yeah, I really wish they would do that.
I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, I really wish they would do that as a like an HBO series because there's so much in the book. Yeah,
that's a good idea. But
it is.
I have to say, he had this one book called State of Fear.
Yeah,
and
that's Tennessee.
Part of it is great because State of Fear is talking about the media. If it bleeds, it leads. The media tries to keep people in a state of fear. The media and the government want the populace kept in a constant state of fear because it's more profitable to the media, and they're also more manipulatable or controllable for the government, right? And that part hits, but the whole other part of the book that he uses to prove that point is him calling global warming bullshit the whole time. Which I did not. So yeah, Michael Crichton's super it for me, but he also was apparently a climate change denier. But yeah, he was that was his explanation. He's like, people are like, why would they do that? Why lie about global warming? And his whole thing was because they want a state of fear. They want
it might not be Michael.
Why wouldn't they quit by now then?
Maybe.
Well, he died 20 years ago. Maybe or whatever. This book is 25.
Maybe
years
it's an
old
unreliable narrator and not actually Michael Crichton's thoughts. You know what I mean?
No, I think it probably hit for him. But
whatever.
Anyway, it's who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? We're probably all going to die. But until we do, you should try Factor. That's what you should do. You should optimize your nutrition this year with Factor, our sponsor. They have chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved, ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, so you can fuel up right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh, fully prepared, perfect for any lifestyle. You can lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks with Factor's keto meals, by the way. This is based on a randomized and controlled clinical trial using Factor Keto, though your results may vary depending on if you get your ass up and move or not. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each and every week, it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. You can pick from options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. They also, Factor, can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfast, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. Reach your goals this year with ingredients you can trust and convenience that can't be beat with Factor. I've said it before, but I will say it again. Factor hits for me very hard. I hadn't heard of them until they started sponsoring us, however long ago that was, and they sent us, all 3 of us, each a box. I got my box before I could even really react to it. Katie had already signed us up as full-time subscribers because it hit so hard for her. We use them as lunch options. You get busy during the day, you know, you don't have time to whip up something really, but you still want to eat something that's good and good for you. And that's where Factor comes in for me. I just had a green chili chicken.
I had that
yesterday.
today too.
Yeah, I had that. Yeah, it hits. It always hits. They got the chicken is like real chicken breast. And I don't know. I'm a fan. I really am. You should be too. So eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/WellRED50off. And use the code WellRED50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code WellRED50 off at factormeals.com/WellRED50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Factor, make it hit.
Yep, that's true. And hey, guess what? Thanks to our friends at Factor, I actually have a new segment this week that is brought to you by our friends at Factor. I've cooked up a little something here. This segment is Today in Southern History. Like I said, brought to you by our friends at Factor, who also offer vegan options, which I do twice a week, so that's nice. Today in Southern History, fellas, Georgia secedes from the Union.
Yay!
Yay! Hey, how about that?
Yeah.
Oh, not crickets. Yeah, actually crickets. That works. On this day in 1861, the great state of Georgia decided it had had just about enough of the United States and packed up its metaphorical bags to go live that independent life, kind of like a teenager who slams their bedroom door and swears they're never coming out until they get, hungry or their iPad dies, or in this case, their state gets burnt to the fucking ground by a crazy ass Yankee that, God love him, sure could have benefited from some therapy. Now, in Georgia's defense, which, let's be real, it rarely deserves, it wasn't alone. By the time Georgia officially seceded, a handful of other southern states had already stormed off like a bunch of plantation-owning drag queens. And no, I didn't mean drama queens. These plantation owners literally wore pantyhose, capri pants, wigs, and makeup. Hell, half the people who defend them today would beat the shit out of them in a Walmart parking lot if they saw them. But like I said, it wasn't only Georgia who did this. It's just that Georgia did theirs with flair. They held a whole ass convention in Milledgeville. Who the fuck even knows about Milledgeville? But yes, that used to be the capital. This big ass convention they held in Milledgeville was basically just a party where a bunch of rich white dudes sat around and said, well, you know what? I reckon we could run things better without the federal government telling us what to do. Which, if you've ever seen Georgia try to handle a snowstorm or a fourth quarter rally from a backup quarterback, you know that was a bold statement. The main reason for secession, well, let's not beat around the bush. Slavery. Oh, sure, some folks will try to dress it up and call it states' right, but that's like saying my cousin broke into our grandmother's medicine cabinet just to see if the hinges on the door worked. Sure, you can say all you want, but we know what you really wanted, and you're just being a lying piece of shit about it. Georgia even put it in writing in the Declaration of the Immediate Causes, which induce and justify the secession of Georgia, a title that's about as subtle as a Waffle House parking lot fight at 3 a.m. over who stole the last menthol. They outright said that the federal government was getting way too nosy about the whole slavery situation, and they couldn't just have that. Of course, we all know how it turned out. Georgia and its rebellious cousins went and got themselves into a 4-year ass-kicking contest with the Union, and it did not go their way. Turns out when your economy is based on unpaid labor and king cotton, you might not have the industrial infrastructure to win a war against the country that invented, wait for it, industrial infrastructure. Atlanta got burned to the ground. Sherman took a little march to the sea. And in 1865, Georgia came limping back like a dog that ran away from home only to realize it didn't know how to fucking hunt. Fast forward 164 years, and Georgia is still a little torn about the whole thing. On one hand, we've got a booming economy, thriving cities, and the best damn college football team in the country. Go Dogs, sick 'em. Ho, 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 ho. On the other hand, there are still a few folks out here in 2025 who think the Confederacy was just about heritage and insist on flying the stars and bars from their jacked up piece of shit pickup trucks. Trucks, by the way, that were built by the same federal government they claim to hate. So, happy Georgia seceded and immediately regretted it day, y'all. May we continue to learn from history, assuming we ever decide to start reading it. And that was brought to you by our friends at Factor.
I want to know what you think about General Sherman, Corey.
Hits for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Didn't used to when I was a kid because
Right.
all I knew about him was he came here and burnt our whole state
stuff.
down.
Yeah.
But as
I didn't
far
know
as
if there was any kind of like, you know, I don't know, like any kind of conflict internally where it's like, look, we weren't hitting, I get it, but at the same time,
God damn, boy.
I'm still from Georgia, and he
Yeah,
set
I
everything
mean,
on fire. So you know,
there's a little bit of that, but I mean, I'm a results based man, and and like that got it, dude. We weren't hitting, and that's what happens.
Right.
Like if you're not hitting, your shit gets burnt down. I don't know what to tell you, and like the ends justify the means justify the ends, or whatever it is.
Yeah, Japan ought to have been paying more attention to that. You know what
You're
I'm saying?
goddamn right, son. Yep, sure made some crazy cartoons because of it, but you know, like, I don't know. Isn't that weird that we drop a bomb on Japan and now their pussies are all blurry on the internet? I don't like that.
Mm-hmm. The weirdest part is that we killed their god. Is what I've always.
That's true. Which that hits. Well,
Yeah.
somebody do that to
We
us.
did them a favor as far as that goes.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't nobody need a god. Yeah, but I reckon that is true. They basically, after we bombed them, they all stopped believing in God. Which
why wouldn't you?
Hard to blame them, I guess. But
can I just say, speaking of Japan and industrial infrastructure, am I delayed? What happened?
No,
we're listening.
To say about it.
Yeah, we're listening intently.
Yeah,
I think the actual goal of the AI people was just to automate everything. Like, I don't think they care about any of that other shit. I think they just want to automate as much as possible to make as much money as possible.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And if it ends up exploding us, like, that's just, you know, what happens. That's the
It's
cost
just
of
that
doing
we
business.
frame these conversations like these are, you know, titans of industry having these they don't care about that.
I don't know. I don't get me wrong. This is not me trying to give them more credit than I think they deserve. I just really think that at least some of these guys are kind of like mad scientist, true believer motherfuckers who are like
In their own
obsessed
ego,
with.
yeah. But I mean, they don't even
Obsessed
do
with the
the tech.
ideas of some of these, you know, and they want to make money too, like, and they are capitalists and all that. But I think their ego is so big about this shit that they really do think about, like, I could change the course of human history. Like,
Yeah,
They're Norman
I just feel like
Osborn.
we're saying the same thing. It's not a philosophical question for them.
Well,
It's a question of power and their relationship to it.
Well, that's the thing that, like, a lot of people don't think about, but it's true. Like, it has to be true in a certain way. Like, Lex Luthor thinks he's the good guy and Superman is not. And, like, you can, in any villain in any story, like, they believe that they are correct. They're just misunderstood. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Sam Altman or even Elon Musk, for that matter, wakes up and goes, I'm so evil. I'm going to do some evil shit today. Like, for some fucked up reason, I don't know what it is that they have to tell themselves in the mirror every day to justify what they're doing, but like they do it and they really do believe in the shit that they're doing at a certain point. I think
I disagree. I mean, I've come to the same conclusion as you. I think it's like there's no conversation in the mirror in the morning, not about that. I mean, I think there's definitely one of like, you're fucking awesome, but the only way I can say it, and maybe I'm having a hard time expressing it, is what I said a minute ago. I don't think it's a philosophical question for them.
right.
It's just an engineering one. How do I get this done? Why? Because I want to. And if I don't do it, somebody else will. And it hits for me anyway. That's all.
How much does it not hit for y'all when, like, your wife turns out to have been right about something? don't hit.
Haven't experienced it yet, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
can imagine.
Oh, right. Yeah. My bad.
I don't understand what you're saying. It
Well,
doesn't
it does happen.
First of us to have it. Well, I'm not
It hits
sure
me a
yet.
little bit. Andy's very cute about it.
Yeah. Well, here's the most recent one. I'm trying to switch up. I've been riding the Peloton for a long, long time, and I'm trying to switch it up because you just, whatever shit gets up, it's just good to switch stuff up. So I've been running again, I've always hated running, but it's like
Me
I'm trying
too,
to force
but there's
myself.
something about it.
But and I went running multiple times, including I ran a 5K with Katie at fucking 5 a.m. at goddamn Disneyland, and ran a bunch of 5K has been that's the distance I've been doing every time, 3.1 or 2 miles or whatever it is. And I've done it a bunch, and it's been totally fine. My shoes are old, and I told Katie I wanted to go to this place called Fleet Feet, right, which is a running store, right
down there, down from your old house, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yep.
and they're all about running, and they got like shoes and clothes and all this stuff, and they also
And
have
hot women in there.
They have this stuff that would not hit for Mark, I'm sure, that like scans your feet, right? You like walk on this digital pad, and it scans your feet, and it says, you have high arches.
Yeah, which is a good thing. That's how I found out I
Right.
had plantar fasciitis, and I don't have pain anymore.
And then based on that, they say, for someone with high arches, we recommend these shoes. It's supposed to be like the best possible thing you can do, right?
Yeah.
I told Katie I was going to go there and do that. And she goes, yeah, well, just so you know, I went there and did that once, and it's the worst pair of shoes I ever had. My feet hurt. They kill me. They hurt like crazy. It's fucking. I don't think they know what they're doing there. It sucks. It's a waste of money. You shouldn't do that. And I was like, so you know more about all this feet stuff than these, feet people or whatever. It's like, you sure that's what it was? And, and she was like,
no, Trey, I just know what happened to me.
Yeah, and she's like, whatever, we'll see. Right? Or, you'll see, whatever. I go down there, get my feet scanned, spend $200 total.
I'm here to get my feet scanned.
Yeah. And
y'all got Trey Crowder on the list? I got Dwayne eyes.
I'm not sure that it's the shoes that I bought as part of that process, but I just got them, and I've only ran twice. And today, the second time, I almost couldn't walk back home because the shin splints were so bad. I was like limped back home.
God,
my
this has
feet
got
and
it all.
shins and ankles were hurting.
You being
so
wrong
bad.
and in pain. God
Yes,
damn.
and the whole time I'm just like, I'm hoping it's something else, but I don't even know what else it could
Dude, you're
be.
going to wear them
you
7
can't
more
admit it.
times.
I am going to keep wearing them. You're 100%
Yeah, of
right.
course.
I'm going to text her. I'm going to let
Yeah.
her know so she can
No.
keep asking you about it. Trey, where's your shoes? You're not going to wear your new ones?
I'm
No,
definitely going to keep wearing them.
wait a couple months
Out of
until he's
spite.
in the hospital.
Yeah, right. Just hurt
Trey,
every single
Trey, you're not
day.
going to wear
Keep
your
getting
shoes?
worse.
Your
Yeah.
new ones?
Yeah. It
Well,
fucking
look,
sucks.
Obviously, Katie's right in this situation, but I will tell you that I went to a place because my feet, no matter what, I walk a lot, and I just chalked it up to like, well, goddamn, dude, if you walk 10 miles a day, your feet are going to hurt. Like, it really kind of don't matter. And I went and got my feet scanned, and this dude was like, dude, you have plantar fasciitis. Like, you've got it pretty bad. He's like, if you just put these insoles in, like, you'll be good. And I was like, this guy doesn't understand how much I walk. Sure as shit, never once have I had pain since then. Never once. And I am probably, as crazy as it sounds, one of the most active people that we all know. Like, I'm on my feet all the fucking time. I'm either jogging or walking. And by the way, I agree with you that jogging sucks. To me, jogging is kind of like, it's a little like riding. You know what I mean? Where it's like, while you're doing
Having
you're
done
looking,
it is great, but doing it sucks dick.
Yes. Once you get done with it, you're like, I'm so glad I did that.
100%.
And I feel great.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I heard of one of those deals, I feel like was like 2002. And I just can't help but feel like they ain't changed a damn thing about it since then because there's no money in changing it. It's like, all right, we did it. We got a few new customers, people who are into this, but what's the point of having it? Because it's in the store, right?
Yeah.
So just from like a capitalistic business standpoint, like obviously at the University of Stanford, the one they got is on point. And then Nike's using that to design shoes. But like this place, I assume there's multiple in the LA area.
There are, yep.
Yeah, I just feel like that's that you were on an Atari and you thought you were getting a PlayStation 5. You know what I mean?
But yeah, running, I don't know. Like, I used to just think I just hated all cardio and like lifting weights was the only thing that actually I enjoyed. But then I got Katie bought the Peloton and I dig that and always have dug it. It don't bother me at all, right?
Don't hurt your butt.
No, well, I mean, we bought a cushion immediately. If you ain't been on one with a cushion on it, it makes a world of difference. That hit for me right out the gate, and it hits for me still. And that's when I realized, like, oh, it's not all cardio; it's just fucking running. God, I hate running, right? But Joe's right. When you are done with it, it's like, and you feel better when you're done with any workout. But I really genuinely believe that for some reason, running specifically, high. I know, but I always thought that runner's high was just the word for feeling good after exercising.
No, but it's real, man.
Running specifically, for some reason, you feel even better than if you lifted weights real hard or rode a bike or whatever, even though you do feel better after those things. Not as much better,
especially outside.
Running.
It's just like
for some
Scientology.
Reason. I don't get it.
Because it's a cult for white people, and the women are disappearing while they do it. But
you just come up with that?
Yeah,
that was good.
But
it's fucking great.
It's just like Scientology. One of the ways they get you is the first time you go for your test, whatever they call it, clearance or whatever.
Yeah,
they keep you in there for like 8 hours, and then when they let you out, after you finally say you never forgave your dad or whatever it is, you feel great. And then they go, see how much better you feel? Dianetics is real. And you go, undeniably, I feel wonderful. That euphoria is that you had been kidnapped and they let you go. You are done running. That's why you feel good. Your body is like, thank God this fat, dumb motherfucker stopped doing that.
Yeah.
Drew's on fire.
Yeah,
hey, I got a question because you're talking about Peloton. So I've been wanting to. I used to like riding bikes when I was a kid, but now when I ride bikes, like it fucks my back up because of you got to you're bent over or whatever. How hard are y'all gonna make fun of me when I get one of those bikes that you sit down in? You know what?
My father-in-law has one.
They look fun. Like it looks like I'm riding a go-kart because I see people in the park all the time, and it's like they're getting the same exercise because their feet are going, but they're sitting down and they're driving it like a car. And I'm like, that's the one for me. But every time I go to pull the trigger, I know, but every time I go to pull the trigger, I just see y'all's face, and I'm like, God damn it! Like I can't be doing this.
You have to get a propeller hat.
That's what I was. Yeah. I was going to say one of those little round Marvin the Martian helmets or whatever.
My father-in-law has a few of those. I can just give you one of his old ones to try out. He has lower
recumbent bike. Is that what that's called? Yeah.
His lower back issues is why he got them. I think that's a big part of why they were invented. The other reason he got one is he got a concussion on his regular bike, and the whole family was like, no.
I don't think, I mean, look, the difference is minuscule, but you said, you're getting the same exercise, you're doing the same thing, but I don't think that's technically true because the core part of the upper body process of riding a regular bike, that also is doing something.
Yeah, but I do
that if you're sitting down.
But I already do planks anyway, so like, what does it matter? You know what I mean? Like, I get that part of my core workout, and also I have no problem with the Marvin the Martian helmet because, like, I am look. I've not been cool since the day I was born. I got no problem with it, and also like I have ADD, so I have no doubt that I'll be riding this bike and I will see. I'll see something and I'll veer off and I'll wreck into something, and I do want my head protected.
Here's a practical thing that I'll also tell you as somebody who's done a whole lot of biking and not just on a Peloton, but also like not the idea of being in one of those, not being able to stand up would drive me completely insane. Yeah, they're there. It hits.
That's what you need.
That is what you need. Just put that on. But when you bike for a while, like sitting down, and I imagine sitting back, I would think it would feel the same way. Your legs start to scream at you to stand up, to extend and like stretch them out or whatever. I can't hear you. Did you accidentally mute yourself or did I?
Yeah, my baby's up here screaming. I could stand up for a minute and I could get out and stand up for a minute.
Well, you have to stop and get out. I mean, like, stand up and keep pedaling when you stand. In Peloton workouts, that's part of it. They make you stand up periodically, but it's good because it's like a release. Like if you didn't get to stand up, it is torturous.
I think
genuinely, in my opinion, like the
I think
idea of not being
also-
able to stand up.
There's part of me too that thinks it would be easier to put Bane in there with me, you know, like sit him on my lap and ride
That's
around
probably
as
true,
opposed
yeah.
to, because I don't like that whole. I see people all the time with the baby on the back of the regular bike, and like I get it, but I'm like, dude, if I wreck, which like that's possible, like that's not gonna hit, and also I can't see him. I don't like that. I don't like that I can't see him. You know,
Cousin Tasha had to throw her youngest
In a river?
anticipation
In a
of a-
trash
of a
can.
wreck.
Mm-hmm.
And then she wrecked and got cut very bad, and he has like double PTSD from being thrown and then also her injury.
Yeah, getting yeeted by your mama
Dude.
wouldn't hit.
And
No.
then you
Yeah, but-
land and turn around and she's bleeding to death.
that
Yeah.
boy's gonna be a hell of a defensive tackle. I can tell you that much right now.
Joe, they got, I don't know if it's like attachments or what, but I've seen white people with these bike things that are like strollers,
cage.
but also bikes.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I think we had one of those when we lived
You
in
were
Oak
pulling
Ridge.
behind it in the stroller?
Give it to
I
me.
think
You don't
they
use
have
it?
both. They also have some that are on the front. The kid is on the front, so you can like see the kid as
That's
you're-
what I want. I have to be
they
able to
have
see
that,
him at
I'm
all
pretty
times.
Sure.
I say I have to be able to see him at all times. He's literally behind me in a cage screaming while I'm talking to y'all. And it's like, this is fine in the cage.
I don't think that's good. I think you're supposed to go get him.
He's
well, we
only
can
in
wrap
there.
it up a
He's
little
only
early,
in
it's
there for
fine.
6 minutes because this time happens to be when Amber leaves
Well,
to
we're
go
at
get.
56 minutes anyway, so hell,
All right,
listen,
well,
y'all come
let's
see
leave.
me. Go to TreyCrowder.com this weekend. I'll be in Kentucky, Louisville, and Bowling Green. Louisville sold out. Thank you, Louisville. Bowling Green, there's still some left.
The fuck, Bowling Green.
And then, yeah, I know. And that, last time I went to Bowling Green, I was in a smaller room, but it sold out. And Bowling Green is like, that's near Salina. God damn it. What are y'all doing? I am
Oh,
dis-
now
I
I
am-
know what happened. They all hate me.
well, I guess you're right. That does explain it, but I'm still disappointed. But anyway, then after that is the Carolinas, and then Florida, and then everywhere else. So go to TreyCrowder.com and make a hit. Y'all
Drew?
got
I have a sold out show that you guys can't come to in Athens this weekend with Corey. I'm opening for Trey. I got an audition thing in Nashville, not till like April 12th. I'm chilling.
Are
I'm
you
about
sure
to-
that did you get that mixed up, or is that right? Because April 12th is supposed to be our show. Is that when that audition is?
I think yours is the 11th, cuz. I
Oh.
looked.
I thought the 12th was. You might be right. Maybe the
I
11th is with you, and the 12th is with Corey. I guess that's what it
Okay.
is.
I'm chilling all of March. I'm gonna be down in New Orleans. If you see me there, no, you didn't.
Hey, I'm going to be in Atlanta and Charleston coming up very quick. And like I said, me and Drew sold out Athens with our good friends, the Drive By Truckers. So thank y'all for buying those. But I'll be in Atlanta and Charleston very soon. You can grab those tickets at CoreyRyanForrester.com. Also, today I put out a free essay I wrote about Kendrick at the Super Bowl. You can read that completely for free. It's on all of my socials. But if you want the audio version of it, please go to welovecorey.com and subscribe. Also, my latest for the AJC is out. And thank you all for go ahead.
Real quick, that place in Louisville, have I told y'all what it's called? The
No.
venue I'm at? It's called the BOMHARD Theater.
The
The
Bomb Hard.
Bomb Hard Theater, yes. The Bomb Hard Theater in Louisville. So just
Go see him.
hope that's not an omen. Yeah.
Oh,
but anyway.
listen to Putting on Airs. We just hit 1 million views this month. Listen to Gravy Baby. Listen to Weekly Skews. Thank you all for listening to the WellRED Show. We'd love to stick around longer, but we got to go. Tune in next week if you got nothing to do. Thank you. God bless you. Good night and skew. Fart.
Or
Two rednecks, but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs. We collected from our love of Downton Abbey. We collected, we found out we're both so fancy. Hey, what's the difference between rednecks and royal families? Only money, cause they both have sex with family. Ew. Putting on airs. What other rednecks to talk about foreign affairs? Laughing so hard that we end up falling out our chairs. Sir Trey, Sir Corey, oh what a pair. High class topics with a redneck flair, oh yeah. Two rednecks but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs. Two rednecks but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs. Okay, it's Team Squirrel or Team Trey. Oh yeah, we keeping it basic. He thinks that the squirrels at Corey's mom's house are racist. And you know squirrels live in the same place for generations. So Trey, you better count your days and you better count your blessings. Cause all the squirrels that you ran over, that you think are nameless, faceless, their families are getting together and plotting on you from the attic and basement. So even though Corey is dumb, fat, and bald, he knows how to avoid drama, don't get squirrels involved. Two rednecks but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs. Two rednecks but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs.
They Not Like Us, the annual halftime show Hissy Fit by Corey Ryan Forrester. Well, there it is. Another Super Bowl, another halftime show, another round of people acting like America itself is circling the drain because a black man had the audacity to take center stage and tell the truth. This year's villain, Kendrick Lamar. Now, I'd love to tell you that the outrage was about the music, but let's not kid ourselves. It wasn't about beats or lyrics or whatever made-up moral standards folks suddenly discovered between the first and second Bud Light. Wait, are they drinking them again now that Shane Gillis is in the commercial? No, it was about something much simpler, something older than the sport itself. It was about control. About who gets to stand in the bright lights and who is expected to stay in the shadows. See, Kendrick got up there and did what great artists do. He took the biggest stage in America and told a story. His story. The story of a people this country has spent a long, long time trying to pretend don't exist, or at least shouldn't. He rapped about oppression, about injustice, about survival. And the same folks who will tell you how much they love free speech suddenly couldn't handle it. Some of them were mad that a black man was on their TV at all. Some of them were mad that too many black men were on their TV at once. And some of them, God help them all, were mad that Kendrick dared to call out actual pedophiles. It's not the right place or time. Children are watching. Yes, you heard that right. The same people who spent the past 5 years screaming that every Democrat, teacher, librarian, and drag queen story hour is secretly running an underground child trafficking ring lost their minds when Kendrick Lamar stood on that stage and did something they've never actually done, called out real predators with power. Pick a damn lane, y'all. Either you hate pedophiles or you just like saying you do. And if that wasn't enough, they had the nerve, the absolute gall, the cojones, my dad would say, since it's the only Mexican word he knows besides fajitas, to whine that there weren't enough white people on stage. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought y'all didn't care about inclusion. I thought DEI was ruining everything. I thought hiring quotas were the worst thing to ever happen to America. Aside from the 69, 79, 89 cent menu leaving Taco Bell, that is. Well, turns out when they finally let the best performers get the job based on talent alone, black people won. Because let's be honest, black people are the best dancers. No, I'm not afraid of being canceled or called a racist for saying that. And if I do, I'll die knowing I fought for the damn truth. The fact that this was the moment y'all suddenly started caring about fairness tells me everything I need to know. Now, look, I know what's coming. Some Facebook uncle is going to slide in here and say, but what if there was an all-white halftime show? Wouldn't y'all be mad? Nobody. We'd call that every halftime show before 1995. But actually, yeah, unless it was the drive-by truckers, I think I would be mad. Here's the thing, and I say this with love. You are not oppressed because the Super Bowl halftime show doesn't cater specifically to you, just like I'm not oppressed in a dairy-free ice cream store. It is not discrimination just because for one single night you had to sit and watch someone else get their moment in the sun. For decades, entertainment in this country looked like a damn J.C. Penney catalog, and y'all didn't have a word to say about it. And by the way, I know this is coming out of nowhere, but I gotta say it. Ed Sullivan fucking sucked. So bad. All he had going for him was that he was white and had good posture, I reckon. But now that the biggest cultural moments in America don't always star people who look like you, now it's woke gone too far. And by the way, any conservative reading this who can define woke, I'll pay off your Cybertruck and sew titties on myself. Buddy, it ain't woke. It's just reality, and you just don't like it. And if I may borrow a phrase you loved to toss around during the first Trump administration, if you don't like it, fucking leave, because this is America, quite literally inspired by that piece of paper written all those hundreds of years ago that you all praise while it sits in your front pocket, worn out cover, and pristine sheets. So yeah, Kendrick Lamar got up there, did what he does, and set the internet on fire just by existing in a place some folks don't think he should be. And in return, a bunch of people who say they love freedom spent the next 24 hours proving they don't really want it for anybody but themselves. America, man. What a place. Glory, glory, and all that, I reckon. Ugh. By the way, guys, I'm going to be in Atlanta, Georgia, and Charleston, South Carolina very soon, and you can get those tickets at CoreyRyanForrester.com. Also, please listen to our podcast, Putting on Airs, with me and Trey Crowder. We just hit 1 million views, and we thank all of you for that. 1 million views this month, that is. Available wherever you get your podcasts or at watchpoa.com. Thank you all for subscribing here. Share this with your friends. I love you very much. By the way, you can rip it from here. You can pirate this and share it with people. I don't care. It's not going to bother me. Love y'all. Thanks for being here. See ya. Bye-bye.